Hey, how's it going, everybody? I'm back. We're back. I'm your host, John F. Thomas, and welcome back to the JT Effect. In this episode, I'm going to be bringing in the multi award winning actor, writer, director. The list goes on and on with this guy. He does so much and a very intellectual guy, very smart individual. He hails from Clarksville, Tennessee. I met him when I was in college, actually. A very, very brilliant, brilliant gentleman, Mr. Ellis E. Fowler. And actually, he created this Jukin documentary like a while back while we both met in Memphis. We both went to University of Memphis, and he created this amazing documentary so that you can get an idea of who I'm bringing in before we start talking about the topics that we're going to talk about. So let me go ahead and show the work that he has done. And I'm about to show you right now. All right. So, as you all saw, that is his documentary, or the trailer of his documentary, The Memphis Movement, Jukin, the Urban Ballet. And we're going to bring Mr. Ellis E. Fowler in. Ellis, are you there? You are. Welcome, man.
Yeah. What's up, man?
There we go.
Hey.
What's going on?
I'm good. Hey,
I'm your host, John F. Thomas. This is Mr. Ellis E. Fowler. So glad to have you here, man. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. I appreciate you having me on. First of all, I just want to say congratulations on, doing the show, showing some positive Black representation, intellectual conversation. Like it's so needed. It reminds me of, like back in college, we used to have our lunch, in the
round table.
Yeah, the round table, just talk about all kinds of issues from superheroes to politics, and just intellectual conversation. And that, I feel like, hey, in this world right now, we need that so much more because people are in their own little bubbles and, you only preach to the choir. So, if you're getting ideas out and making sure you're keeping an open mind is important. So, yeah, kudos on the show, man.
Dude, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. And, man, thanks for clearing up your schedule because I know you are busy as ever, especially during this pandemic, which is crazy because, typically during the pandemic, a lot of people, they freak out and they, stress out. But you just went straight to work. I'm pretty sure I know you were freaking out at some point, but you just went straight to work.
Especially as it dragged on, like you're supposed to last a couple months, a few months, and I was like, it's a good opportunity to get some writing done and things like that. But after that, I'm like, okay, when is work and life gonna pick back up? But I think I read something about like longevity. It talks about people that live the longest are the people that can be the most flexible. And so as you are able to analyze your situations, manage your situations like stress and things like that, then you're able to cope with life a lot better and you can move forward. And that's what I've been trying to do. As you know, I've struggled a little bit, but bringing up the stress reduction, which is very important. Been doing the meditation and things like that, and just trying to stay busy, stay creative.
Man, that's really good to hear, man. I'm glad that you've been taking care of self. Mental health is very important. Everybody that's listening in, please take care of yourself. There's a lot of crazy stuff that we're listening to going on. And just as Ella said, started meditating. If you need to take some time to yourself, reading, whatever you need to do, just to unplug sometimes, because, it can get really crazy out there. If you're just now tuning in, please make sure you're hitting the like button. Share this video so that more people can see. Thank you for coming to the Black Boss channel. It is the brothers on sports and society. So thank you for coming here. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. It was formerly Fly Nubian Kings, but the Fly Nubian Kings are also bosses. So, we the Black Boss channel. We're about to boss up. So
the king is the ultimate boss.
the ultimate boss. Right? So, okay, let's just go ahead and dive in. I know everybody wants to know about this topic that we're talking about. And I saw the article the other day where it said that Joe Biden is making LGBTQ TIA plus issues this number one legislative priority. And I thought that was really interesting because before he talked with, I guess, Ice Cube before, and Ice Cube came with they had the contract with Black America, the CWBA, and he was told that we'll talk about that later. But then you come out and nothing against everybody that's in the community. Hey, you know, I love you, love sent out to you. I just we're talking about it's just odd that to me before going into the election, he just says this is number one priority. But for Black issues, it was like, we'll talk about that once I get into office. So I guess, Ellis, my question for you is, since that is his number one priority and he put that out there, the article's out there, everybody can read it. Has the Black community been ignored and pushed aside once more? Or is it just a huge overreaction to something that's just like, hey, we're just overreacting. Like, calm down. He's gonna get to it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that could be one way to view it. Somebody could view it that way, that looking at that statement and saying that it's an overreaction is a legitimate thing to say. Possibly. I feel like, you know, it's very important that he does make, you know, LGBTQ issues a priority. But when you say number one priority, you're making a really huge statement there, especially when you're running for president of the United States of America. That's saying, like, all the stuff that's on my plate, from international issues to domestic issues, financial issues, the economy, my number one priority is going to be LGBTQ rights. And I think that's an important priority. Like, you know, equal rights should be spread across the board. But I think that, you know, as a Black voter, looking at the Democratic Party as a whole and looking at Joe Biden as a candidate, it really kind of shows you where his priorities lie. I like how you mentioned the contract with Black America that Ice Cube has, how, you know, his party basically said, his campaign basically said, you know, we'll talk about that after the election. But here you are saying, like, this is my main priority. So it does shine a lot of light on where you place the Black community in your list of priorities. I mean, look at all of the protests about social justice issues, about police brutality, specifically about police killing unarmed Black people. People are in the streets, they're out in the multitudes, it's all over the news. And you give a bunch of kind of like shaky responses as it relates to that. But this is like one of the biggest, you know, like prescient topics right now. But then you say, like, this other thing is my number one priority. So I think it shines a lot of light on just where in the list of priorities he puts it. Like, he doesn't have to say that Black issues are number one, but I mean, if you're a YouTuber and you're thinking, like, what's going to be my number one topic for a video, and you're looking at the world and see what's trending, as it were, it's like this election where the Black community is a huge block of people, voters that you said weren't Black if they don't vote for you, and they're not Black if they don't vote for you. But even still, like, you're not my number one priority. So I think, you know, that's a huge statement. So I mean, somebody could look at it as an overreaction to say that he's, you know, ignoring the Black community by saying that. But, and I'm not saying that's what he's saying, but he's saying a lot when you say number one, and that's deep, especially when you're running for president.
Yeah, I think that just like you said, there's a lot of issues going on, and nothing against that community. Again, I have friends that are in that community. I had family member that's no longer with us, but he was within that community. May God rest his soul. But I mean, just recently, forgive me, I forgot the gentleman's name, but in Philadelphia, I believe, somebody else was shot down, and they had a knife, just a knife. And I think the police ended up shooting this guy, a Black guy, 10, 14 times. If you're watching and you know who I'm talking about, please, put the comment of who this person was, so that way I don't want to be disrespectful towards another one of us who has been gunned down, because we should say his name. I mean, because his name is important. But he was shot 10 to 14, 15 times, and he only had a knife. And he has some mental issues, but I think the people, the neighbors in that community and stuff, they were out there. They were saying, no, he has a mental issue. Don't shoot. And the mother was very upset because she was trying to tell the police they had the guns drawn. And I remember my friend called me and told me about that. And he was killed as if he had. I can see if he had C4 strapped to his chest. He's about to blow himself up. I see if he had a gun. But this man had a knife. Even if you did want to shoot him, you could shoot him in the leg. You could disarm him. And this is a crazy thing. I don't know if we both took that class, but a gun class in Tennessee where
we did.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. So you remember. So, and I remember what stood out to me specifically was when there was a police officer who told us, in order for you to shoot somebody that is in your home, I mean, you can shoot somebody, but the best case scenario don't shoot to kill, shoot to disarm. So this is a police officer telling us in this class, because we had to take this class in order to get a firearm.
Right.
And he told us to shoot to disarm. And to disarm, you shoot in the arm and the leg, because you don't want to necessarily kill the person. But he's telling us this, civilians, why aren't they following their own protocol?
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of times they are taught shoot to kill, shoot center mass because it's the easiest target, and shoot to put them down completely, which that's important. Going back to like what Biden said, is like one of the most contentious and varied issues that we have in the country right now is what to do about policing. Like, a lot of people are waking up and realizing that the type of policing that we have is outdated, that it needs to be modified, it needs to be changed. And that seems like something that you could say would be your number one priority. Like, I'm gonna get local officials and state officials together and really try to hammer down a way to hold these police accountable, to find effective ways of training that are gonna adjust some of these issues. And for me, with the statement, it's like, okay, you can say that this is your number one priority if I feel like you've said some really strong statements to some of the other issues that are important to, other communities as well. And here specifically the Black community. But it's like, when you make statements about like changing policing and they're not strong statements anyway, like, we're gonna, I don't want to defund the police. I don't want to, get rid of policing as we know it. We want to make some little changes here and there. It's like, if you can't even make a strong statement about these things, but then you go and say that this other thing is your number one priority, it really makes you shake your head, because you're like, well, I mean, policing in general, that's a huge issue right now that nobody has an answer to. So, when I'm looking at somebody who's about to be the president of the United States, I'm thinking like, it'd be commendable if you wanted to tackle the issue that nobody has a good answer to, and say, hey, my number one priority is going to be working this out for the country so we can help bring unity, help bring answers, help bring justice and equality in that respect. But, once again, he said what he said. So I just think it's very telling. And when people want to, say vote for Biden just because he's not Trump, it's like, yeah, I understand that too. But you really got to look at what this man's saying is, and does he have your best interest in mind? Apparently it's not at the top of the list.
Yeah, it's really not. And I guess to kind of close that thought that I mentioned earlier about the gentleman. Again, if you know who I'm talking about, the gentleman that was killed, the Black gentleman that was killed in Philadelphia, I believe, was gunned down, and he was only holding a knife. Please write it in the comments. So I want to make sure I get his name right. But Black people are still being gunned down still. And there's an election going on. And we're bringing to you, these are our issues. We need deeper than police reform. We need to defund the police, because they're becoming militarized. They need to really be held accountable. And you sit here and say, yeah, we'll talk about that later. what the
Right.
issue is. LGBTQ plus issues. That's the number one priority. And it's just like, dude, a gay man isn't a gay woman isn't being gunned down in the street by police.
Right.
Just
And
for
if
being
so,
actually, and you can if I was gay, I can hide being gay. I can't hide being black. I can't hide that.
exactly.
So, like I
And
said,
when it comes,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, I mean, I kind of look at it like when it comes to human rights in this country, like I feel like a gay person, or anybody in the LGBTQ plus community has the same basic human rights as everyone else. Now, there are things that definitely need to be addressed in those communities, but I think the policing and the killing of unarmed Black people is a human rights issue. It's a human rights issue. So it's like, if we want to talk about like equality, let's first, let's make sure that everybody has equal human rights. And apparently, if you look at this community, the Black community does not even have the equal human rights at this point. So it's like, like I said, it's suspect as to like where your priorities are. Why are you talking about this? Not like we can't think of, talk about multiple things at the same time, but like I said, the strength of the statement, number one priority, man, that says a whole bunch. So
yeah, for everybody that's tuning in, please make sure that you're hitting the like button, that you're subscribing to the Black Boss channel. We're so glad to have you. I have my good friend Ellis E. Fowler, multi-award-winning actor, writer, director, right here in Los Angeles, California, moved from Tennessee to come out here and pursue his dreams. But not only is he just that, because I know a lot of times we try to lock people in, like for instance with Ice Cube. Oh, he's just a rapper. Why is no? Ice Cube is more than just a rapper. The same thing with like Ellis is more than just the title that I put up on the screen, and actor, writer, director. He's an intellectual. He's a very well versed individual. He's all across the board, and please just make sure that you're hitting the like button so more people can see this, and subscribe to the channel. Share it if you can so more people can see this as well. So I guess with all of that being said, man, it's I guess I'll go over to my next question for you, because I've been seeing a lot of videos, because even I think Boris Watkins, I was on Instagram and he shared a video of a Trump motorcade. Not really, it wasn't really Donald Trump, but it was just his supporters. They were driving by in the cars, had the flags attached to the windows, and honking the horns. Woo! We voted for Trump. And I remember even my mom told me, she was like, I can't believe this is like a whole cars driving down the street with Trump flags and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I didn't really have too much to say on it, but now seeing this video. In this video, there was people on the left, that were snatching flags off of the cars, throwing it down on the ground, cursing them out, throwing drinks and stuff at the Trump cars as it was going by. I think there were some people that even got out the car because it's just like, yo, and they were about to start fighting, and some people were getting arrested. And so with all of that, and we already know there's been other times with some protests going on, and you see some of the other people on the other side, on the right side, they're coming in and being threatening. They got their guns out and stuff like that. So it is on both sides. It's kind of, there are peaks of violence. So I'm guessing with all of that. Well, let's go back to the original with the ripping the flags off of the cars, throwing stuff at the people's cars that have Trump on it. Is that response warranted, or has it gone too far at this point?
Man, yeah, I think it's kind of a two-part thing for me there, because it's like on the face of it, I don't think that's right, except because if we flipped it and we looked at it the other way around, if it was a bunch of Biden supporters going down the street in a motorcade and Trump supporters started acting like that towards them, we would be up in arms about it. The left would be super upset about it. But I feel like, I didn't see the response to that particular video. But, typically what happens is whoever side that it's not comes up with a bunch of excuses as to why it was kind of okay in their case. So the first part of my answer would be no, that's inappropriate. It's going a little bit too far, and you're asking for conflict, especially when you look at a lot of the people who tend to be Trump supporters. I feel like a lot of them are out there looking for some conflict to happen, looking for a justification to get into some type of conflict. But on the other hand, I think I saw a video of somebody ripping a Trump flag out of somebody's yard, and I was like, that. My initial reaction was like, that's messed up, man. That's a little too far. But then I thought about a few years ago when people were going around ripping down the Confederate flag off of people's houses, you know, ripping stickers off of people's cars and stuff in traffic. And I was like, man, I love that. You know, because it's warranted because of what it stands for. And the interesting thing about that is I feel like, and it also depends on what your reasons are and what community you're in, but especially in the Black community, I feel like never in the history of this country has there been a presidential candidate that has so much other meaning attached underneath that name. Like when you see Trump, and I don't know about you, but me as a Black person, when I see the word Trump on a big flag on somebody's car or something like that, I feel like it's telling me a little bit more than just their political affiliation, which may not be the case. But I do feel like, you know, people talk about the dog whistle, about how Trump says little subtle stuff like that, about like, you know, white supremacist things, stuff like that. You know, he says it subtly and they call it the dog whistle or whatever. I feel like for a lot of Trump supporters who are in that same camp, that flag, that Trump sign has become more than just I support Trump. It's I support Trump and all the little subtle stuff that we don't want to say out loud that's underneath that. So I think that a lot of people on the left kind of see that. But so in that sense, you know, I can see how snatching down a Trump flag is similar to snatching down that Confederate flag, but it's not the same thing. And you can't necessarily lump everybody into the same group and category when you see a Trump, because maybe that person is wearing that MAGA hat because they just support Trump and his economic policies and things like that. But also we as a community kind of know that there's a I don't know 80-90% chance that little stuff that's subtly underneath what that stands for is also in your head, and you're also saying that it's like, here's my Confederate flag with the Trump sticker on it in a sense, you know. So I can understand why, you know, somebody sees that and they have that visceral reaction. Like you're saying more than just Trump. You're saying more than I just support the president. You're saying I support the president and I support white supremacy, you know, things like that. So, but no, ultimately it's wrong. And that's not the way that we should be trying to handle these things, because you can never have a open discussion if you're starting with violence. It's like a child. Like you're not, if you two little kids in a room, like, and you want them to play together or whatever, one kid snatching somebody else's toy is not going to create an environment for any kind of like sharing to happen. And it's like that with adults. You rip down my flag and then you want to talk to me about how my candidate is not the right candidate. Well, I'm not going to listen to you. So
yeah, I mean that is very important too. Which I've been talking to a lot of people about context, and context seems to get lost a lot. Yep. And again, I'm with you on this sense that, you know, because it's funny. I was talking to my neighbor the other night, and he was saying that we were talking about Trump. We were talking about he was like, the election's coming up. Good Lord. And he was saying he was grilling one of his friends who is a Trump supporter. But it was for good reason, because he was saying his friend just shares stuff and doesn't really look to see if it's correct what he's sharing. And he's just like blindly supporting Trump. Not, you know, not having a specific reason, just blind support. And I was telling him, I was saying, I said, it's interesting because same thing like with me, when I see somebody wearing a MAGA hat, you know, so it's interesting. A lot of different things pop in my head, you know. So,
it makes you wonder.
Yeah, I mean, because on one hand, there's two different thoughts pop in my head as a Black man. It's just like, okay, one, you might be a racist. Might be. I mean, but you know, for me, it's like, at least I know I see it. Yeah. And at least I know, because before I was walking around and I didn't know. I didn't know until you started being racist towards me. But now you have the hat, so it's like ding, 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 an indicator. It's like, okay, like, so my awareness is now up.
I'm on high alert.
Right. But outside of that, but then the another thought that pops in my head is, but I wonder what this person is exactly supporting. Just like you were saying, like, is it how tough he's been on China? Is it that he has been very focused on increasing the revenue of businesses and trying to, in a sense, get us a better deal? Maybe that's what they're focused on. Or maybe it's just like, I don't like black people. I don't like Hispanic people. I don't like Asian people. I don't like anybody except for white people. It'd be one of the two. I don't know. But but I'm not going to go up and snatch his hat off and get out of here, Trump supporter.
Exactly.
Because like, I mean, we're in a country of freedom of speech, but yet we get upset at people. I mean, because like, perfect example, like I was talking to a coworker, and he was saying, I was telling him the same thing about that motorcade or whatever going by, and he was saying, yeah, but out of all the disgusting things, vile things, and it's like, hey, I feel you, but then that had me think about, when the KKK goes down the street, I'm not going and pushing them and snatching their hoods off. Get out of here! No, you get out of here! You shouldn't be racist. It's just like, hey man, freedom of speech. Hey, if I'm gonna let you go and walk down the street and be racist, you have a right to do so, as long as you're not hurting me. Now, once you cross that line, that's a whole nother thing. You're gonna get these hands. And if I can get my gun, if I got my gun on me, you can get my gun too. But other than that, it's like, hey, if you're not hurting me, you're just out here and saying whatever. You got your hood and maybe you throwing up Hitler signs. I don't know. That's not necessarily hurting me though. It might hurt my feelings, but at this point, I don't even care.
You just letting me know where you stand.
There you go.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it's just like, well, if I sit there or all of us black people can sit there and just allow them to do that, because hey, it's in the Constitution. You have a right to your freedom of speech. Yeah. And why is it wrong for these people to go out with their Trump flags? And I mean, I can see if they came out and woo, and they just start pissing on your doorstep. Yeah, Trump. Make it pathetic. It's like, yeah, you're probably gonna have to. I would snatch some stuff at that point. But other than that, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, two things, I guess, because first of all, like you were saying, when somebody's wearing the hat, you don't know what's behind that. And it's true, because I think because the most vocal people in that camp have come out to be the people that we see are racists and we see are, xenophobic and things like that. So that's what makes you have that association, because the most vocal ones and the ones that get the spotlight, like the squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? So the media is going to put the extremist out there, but it doesn't mean that everybody's an extremist who's wearing that hat or who has that Trump flag or that bumper sticker or something like that. And then the second part, just like you said, freedom of speech, civility, like those are things that we cannot forget as a nation. And if we want change and we want to have like a political discussion, you have to keep that in mind, that everybody's rights has to be preserved. So you can't, you might have that urge, but you can't just go run up and snatch somebody's flag, especially, I mean, golden rule, man, which is kind of like really simple, a simplified thing, but that do unto others as you will have them do unto you is the foundation of all peace on earth. If people could just get that into their heads and live their lives like that, then we would have peace on earth and we would have peace in politics. But yeah, if you wouldn't want somebody running up on you and snatching your flag or thinking that you're some kind of extremist because you believe in a few things that your candidate believes in or something like that, then you shouldn't be doing that either. And it shouldn't be condoned. And, people who are on either side of the spectrum should be calling that out and not praising, not condoning that, and saying, hey, we have to maintain civility. We have to maintain the Constitution, freedom of speech, because if it's stepped on one side, it's going to get stepped on the other side. And that's what people have to realize. And I mean, we were talking about like social media censorship and things like that, which we're not really getting into that right now, but it's the same type of thing. Like if you praise somebody's rights being stepped on, then your rights are going to be stepped on in a similar fashion, and people are going to praise that. And you don't want to be in that situation. None of us do as a nation.
Yeah, actually, that's a good something good that you brought up about. I mean, actually, I wouldn't mind getting into that about social media and rights being stepped on, because I was talking to some coworkers again, and they were saying that they were glad that you have these, I guess, fact checks on Facebook and Twitter now, to where you share something and that is now has the tag where it's just like, oh, this might not be true, it's partially true, or not true at all. So yeah, dig deeper into that. I definitely want to hear what you have to say on that, because I feel like that is an issue, since we're talking about freedom of speech, things like that. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really unique situation right now in the world, I feel like, because we have these huge corporations that have a whole bunch of power. Like they just had hearings the other day with all of the top execs, Mark Zuckerberg, and the others from Jack Dorsey from Twitter, to at the Senate, and they were talking about freedom of speech and things like that, talking about defamation laws and how should the companies be liable for things said on their platform. And Ted Cruz asked Jack Dorsey, like, who the hell elected you? And that was a very profound statement, because he's not an elected official. It is a private company, but on the same token, it also is international in its scope. And when it comes to the censorship, it's like because I heard that I didn't see this myself, but I heard that the press secretary had posted something about Hunter Biden's emails, the whole scandal going on with that, and Twitter decided to suspend her account for a temporary time. And I thought to myself, that is very, very dangerous, because when it comes to censorship, it's like, who is doing the censorship? Who's doing the censoring? And like I just said about freedom of speech, like if it's done on one side, it can be done on the other side as well. So, like right now we have a lot of liberal leaning people in charge of these companies, and they're private companies. So, from a kind of a libertarian perspective, I feel like they should be able to do what they want to do with their company within reason. But also, on the other side of it, when you're looking at the national scope, and like a lot of people are getting their information from these platforms, when they start saying like, you can't see this post because I don't like what's said about the person that I like in this post, but you can see this post because it says something nice about the candidate that I like. That's very, very dangerous. And, it sucks to kind of have a free for all, because I've seen a lot of that stuff that your coworker was saying, like where some, especially in the conservative community right now, a crazy ass article will come out and somebody will post it and it'll get shared. I mean, that's how the whole election interference happened, because people were seeing these articles, no due diligence. They just repost the article, and now you're thinking like the freaking Pizzagate situation. They got children, a pedophile ring in the bottom of this pizza shop because of an article that was shared like 1,000 times on Facebook, and you believed it. And I think that's very dangerous, that happens. But on the same token, it's probably equally dangerous on the other side of it. If you're saying like, you can no longer talk about this topic on this platform, you can no longer say that, especially when it's not even, especially when it's kind of like leaning more towards what I like can be said, but what you like can't be said. So, like I said, it's a very unique situation, but it has very far-reaching implications when we start thinking about, if you start limiting speech in one way, it's so much easier, because right now you might be happy with it, but if a new company arises, or a new CEO, or if they do pass, regulations on these companies, and now the government is kind of in charge of this in some capacity, like, where does it end when you start with censorship? So I think, it's dangerous. I don't mind the little things that like white it out and say, hey, maybe you should fact check this. I don't really mind that so much if that's the route they want to go. But when you start suspending accounts, when you start totally deleting posts, that's a slippery slope.
Yeah, I think that is really dangerous. But yeah, I'm with you. I feel two ways about it. But I guess ultimately, I feel like it would be more so of people need to have some more personal responsibility.
Yep.
With looking, even including myself, sharing stuff and like look it up to see if it's true. Because if you give away so much of your control, after a while, what control do you have? You have no
Exactly.
control. And
Yeah.
then you turn around and it's like, oh, I can't even do. Nope, you can't do that because you gave up your control. And it's just like, well, it's a very dangerous slope to slip down into. But for everybody tuning in, thank you for watching. Please hit the like button, subscribe. If you are interested in getting some more managing your money better, go to Fly Nubian Money. That is Fly Nubian Money, so you can get your money right. I know a lot of us are trying to figure out, how we're going to manage during this pandemic. So make sure you go to Fly Nubian Money, so that way you can get all your stuff situated. And because we definitely need the help. So support a Black business, but also know how to manage your money, because that's important. That's what we really need to sharpen up on that. And we have that here for you. So Ellis, let me just go ahead to the next question, because I do want to ask this. A lot of people on the left, and I've talked to a lot of them. Being in California, I talked to a lot of people on the left.
Right.
I know it's very different from being in Tennessee, but they say that Trump hasn't done anything good for America, nor its citizens. Is that true?
I mean, no. That's definitely not true. If you look at, I mean, even something as simple as like the First Step Act, like his criminal justice reform, and kind of trying to get rid of like 3 strikes rules and things like that, especially for, some more non-violent type offenses, which, if we can trace that back, it probably traces back to the crime bill that Biden helped implement. But when you look at things like that, when you look at anecdotally, like a lot of maybe conservative, but a lot of farmers and things like that are saying, it was a little bit tough in the beginning, but, him being tough on China has kind of worked out in the favor of American farmers. The new deal between Mexico and Canada, the trade deal that he worked out, which when it first came out, I just heard kind of objectively from some studies that it seemed to be, better than the NAFTA that we had in place, in the beginning. So when you look at those things, among other things, I'm sure, because it's not like the average American is plugged into every single act that passes and every single little memo that the administration writes. There's definitely been some things that have been good for the country that Trump has done. It doesn't mean that it outweighs his rhetoric or his inability to lead. But I think, just because it doesn't fit what your side likes, doesn't mean that you could just ignore it. If we want to have like intelligent political discourse, we have to be able to look at both sides and say, like, yeah, this president actually has done a few good things. And then you can come up with your reasons that you don't like the president based off of whatever actual reasons of some harm that he's done to you or whatever. But you can't just take everything that somebody's done and throw the baby out with the bathwater and be like, all of this is trash. It's like, no, maybe he's not the best person for the job, but that doesn't mean that he hasn't done anything. And to try to act like that's the case, I mean, it's kind of childish in a way to just plug your ears. Oh, you said he did something good. I don't want to hear that. He's an asshole. Like, yeah, but that doesn't mean that, he hasn't done some good. So I think, people, especially here, like you said, some, liberal place, just want to kind of live in this bubble and pretend like everything that isn't what doesn't fit your narrative of life did not happen. And that's just as bad as the other side. That's just like them saying Obama did nothing great for the country and he didn't help the economy at all and things like that. It's like, you don't want to become the people that you look at and say, well, they're stupid. Like, you don't want to become them in your own rhetoric and ideas. So I think it's foolish to say he didn't do anything for the country.
Yeah, there's also some of these people, they sit there and say, when you do, let's say you do mention these things, he created a better deal with Mexico and Canada, you know, they'll respond back saying, oh, well, that's what he's supposed to do. Or I'm not giving him credit for doing it. Yeah, that's your job. You're supposed to do your job. Duh. So I'm going to give him credit. Yeah, okay.
Man.
You know, so I'm like, okay, well, why would you respond back? Why do they respond back in this sense then?
I think it's really telling, like the way that argument and discourse happens in the country now, because like there's nothing intelligent about saying something like that. Honestly, there's nothing intelligent about saying like, oh, that's his job. He's supposed to do that. Okay, you don't ever want to get any accolades for you actually doing your job. You know, like you said before, like Mother's Day or whatever. Like you don't want to. Your mom doesn't deserve a card on Mother's Day or any flowers because she's just doing her job. Mom, you birthed me, and you're my mom. Why would I appreciate you for that? Like
that's what you're supposed to do. I'm not giving you a card and flowers.
Right.
You after dinner. So
exactly. I mean, job. That's a slippery slope. If you want to start going down that path and saying, "Oh, you did something good," but that's what you're supposed to do. Like, yeah, you graduated college. So what? Like, you're supposed to do that. What do you? Yeah, you know, that's just crazy, man.
Yeah, I think when people are doing that, it's just like, okay, just like for instance, I'm sorry, but I took what you said because it's so funny. It just perfectly sums up what people are doing on both sides. And I was telling even the neighbor Jeremy, I said, man, people are doing mental gymnastics, and at least I credit you every time though. Every time I just want to make sure I didn't come up with this. I said, Ellis said they do mental gymnastics just to make it make sense in their head.
Right.
Even when you approach them was like, hey, well, here's a fact. Well, no, that's what he's supposed to do. And it's just like, okay, so you now I don't have to like a person in order to give them credit. I don't have to like you.
No.
But hey, you did this right. I'll give you that. That's not gonna kill me. That's not gonna hurt me.
Right. It's not gonna change your stance. It doesn't mean, oh, if I say Trump did something right now, I'm a hardcore conservative. I might as well put on a MAGA hat. Like, no.
You know, it kind of reminds me of when. Do you remember when they were getting on Bernie Sanders about what he said? I think about Fidel Castro.
Cuba thing, yeah, man.
And I was thinking, like, what is going on? He didn't say that this was an amazing person. He didn't say, oh, he was the best person in the world for this. But all of a sudden, they just start attacking him, and he was just saying, hey, literacy has gone up. That's something that he did right.
Man,
how dare you praise him? I'm not praising him. I'm just saying, he did. That's one thing he did right.
He did a thing. Like, this thing happened. But because you say that now you're on his side, you might as well put on a Castro uniform now since you said that. It's like, what happened to nuance?
You hate Cubans.
Right. What happened? What happened, like in argument and discussion, like to being able to separate two things, you know, like being able to say like, oh, I understand how you see literacy going up as a good thing, doesn't mean that, oh, you're saying you completely legitimize his regime. Like you agree with everything else that he's done. Like, no. Yeah. If somebody's torturing puppies and I see the guy give one puppy water and I pointed out, oh, he gave that puppy water. Oh, you agree with the fact that he's tortured? No, I just saw him give this puppy water. Like, it makes no sense. People just...
You agree with torture. You agree with torture.
Right. The ability to separate things and understand like what the actual message is behind something is just gone. And I don't know if that's a symptom of people's lack of intelligence, the fact that we're constantly spoon-fed things from the media, or if that's just the media kind of like blowing things up and blowing out of proportion. And in Bernie's case, like them just really trying to find anything to bury him with. But I don't know what that is, because when I saw that, like you said, I was kind of shocked, because I'm like, once I read the statement, I'm like, how are people extrapolating like, oh, he agrees with everything Castro did. He's against Cubans. He's for oppression and things like that, just because he said like this one thing that happened in this country had a positive outcome. When you look at this isolated thing, that's crazy. Just like Trump, it's like, okay, I can look and say that, oh, this trade deal was positive. Doesn't mean I'm saying everything else he did was. No, what happened to that?
Just say you're a Trump supporter. Say you're a Trump supporter, okay?
Let me get my hat. I actually got the hat right here.
I'm gonna start doing like some of these other people do on the different news channels. Just say it. You're on the show. Just say that you're a Trump supporter. I don't know why you just don't say that. And people be killing me about that, man. It's just like, dude, and that's what goes back to what I was saying before about context. People don't use context anymore.
That's so important.
It was kind of like when they were saying, I was talking again to Jeremy the neighbor about the whole thing, how they blow up certain stuff just because it fits the narrative that they want to tell.
Right.
For instance, now don't get me wrong, Trump isn't the brightest. I'll admit that he isn't. He's bright in certain areas. He's sharp, but in other areas he's not the sharpest knife in the drawer. We all know that. But but when he mentioned, for instance, we was talking about the injection of hydroxychloroquine, or using the UV rays, like using light, like there's a certain way that we can do that. And everybody, oh, he wants to put bleach. He wants to put bleach inside it. And he didn't say put bleach inside, but they just, oh, he wants to put bleach, putting bleach inside the body. Like, he never said put bleach inside. Now I would, and I tell him, I said it was ignorant for him to say it out loud. You say that behind closed doors,
right? Why would you?
You're supposed to appear knowledgeable. You don't sit there and be like, yeah,
exactly.
So hold on, America. So can we inject something like or light? Maybe not bleach, but something like to clean it out, clean it inside. And oh, y'all was still recording. Oh, my bad. Okay.
I'm still up there. Oh, yeah. Now that was dumb. Like, we said something. You said something about that, right? Like, wait, hold up. Get your facts straight first,
right?
And then present this information to the public. But I feel you. I remember seeing the article about like Trump encourages injecting bleach or whatever. He says something about putting bleach inside the body. I remember seeing an article with some kind of headline similar to that, and then I read it, or I went and watched the video. I was like, "Come on, Trump again! Like, this is ridiculous." Because I'm not his biggest fan, so I'm already, which is a problem, because I think people who are on the other side, when you see an article like that, you're ready to watch the video just to kind of be validated in how you feel about the president. So I'm guilty. I read that headline. I'm like, oh man, let me watch this video. This man making a fool out of himself, saying some stupid stuff. And I watched it. I'm like, well, I mean, he didn't say that. He didn't say we should inject bleach or anything like that. It was in a roundabout way. You can extrapolate that he said, talking about putting light inside the body or putting some kind of harsh chemicals inside the body, but he didn't. The article title made it seem like he said inject bleach, and then that's what you hear now, right? When liberal news organizations or whatever talk about it, they're saying, "Oh yeah, he said inject bleach," and it's like, find me the quote where he said inject bleach. Like, it's not there. Like you said, it's you taking something that it was stupid, it was dumb what he said. And in the context of what he was talking about, it's like, are you saying put UV light in your body, put bleach inside your body? But he didn't say inject bleach, but that's the narrative now. And that's how it's been blown up to where, like, find me that video clip. He doesn't strictly say we should start injecting bleach. And if he did, then he deserves all of the ridicule he's getting. And it's important to point out, like, the president's talking about possibly injecting bleach, but he didn't say that. So why do you see in the media, that exact kind of quote when it was never said? But then like we were talking about the social media stuff, it's like when you've heard that so much without the context, you're no longer associated to the context of that situation. So when you start talking to your friends or you're having a discussion, that's what you pull out. You pull out that sensationalized headline and say, Trump said inject bleach. And it's like, no, he did, but he didn't say that though. Because
and then the memes come out, and that doesn't help.
Right, yeah, exactly. Now that was funny. Well, yeah. And then I read some articles like that next week though, in New York, I think poison control had like triple the amount of calls that they've ever had about people ingesting bleach and things like that. So like this, what this man says is dangerous sometimes, but also if you out here drinking bleach because Donald Trump told you to drink bleach, that's natural selection.
Hey, but also I was sitting there thinking, I was like, some blame has to fall back on media too, which they don't accept their portion of the blame, because you have these hosts from CNN or MSNBC, and all of this is the president has said to inject bleach. This is the president of the United States said to inject, and it's like he didn't say that.
He didn't say that.
Like, now, what again? Was it dumb that he said it in front of, like, he not said it, but said, like, can't you use hydroxychloroquine?
That you could even extrapolate what? Yeah, that you could even pull that from what he said. That kind of conversation was had in public. That was stupid.
That was very dumb. He tries to improv and go off the hip so much, and it's just like you need brain dating. This isn't just a TV show. You are the president. You don't sound as smart as you think you do sometimes. What is Ace Brav, this rapper I know, this is his favorite word. He was like, show some couth. You're like, what's wrong with you? have some kind of couth.
Oh, right. Man.
Like, so yeah, it's really sad that all these things are twisted into, and even with the recent debate between him and Biden, it was something that Trump said, because he likes to gloat about himself. He said, not since Abraham Lincoln have I done anything.
Man,
for the black people, I've done so much. No president since Abraham Lincoln. Then next thing you know, Joe Biden's like, Abraham Lincoln over here.
Lincoln.
Where did you get that from? It's like, you called yourself Abraham Lincoln. It's like, no, I didn't. No, I said. And it was just, and then there's memes of Trump on Abraham Lincoln's face.
Oh, for real?
He was Abraham Lincoln.
Said he was Abe Lincoln. I thought that was awkward when I watched that. I was like, ooh, because it's kind of cool when you make a little riff on somebody like that. Yeah, Abe Lincoln over there. If it goes like unanswered, then you can be like, you called him Abe Lincoln. Yeah. But then it got real awkward because Trump was like, wait, when did I say I was Abe Lincoln? It's like, oh shit. Because I remembered, because it happened like a minute ago, he never said he was Abe Lincoln, man.
Yeah, he never said. So it would have been a good jab, but
it would have been a nice little jab, except for the fact that Trump caught it and commented on it. And then it was like just really awkward, because it's like, damn, Joe, he's really making you explain this, number one. And then awkward on the Trump side, because it's like, Trump, you don't understand that he's not saying that you said you were Abe Lincoln. Then again, like you said, the memes come out once taken out of context. I guarantee you'll be arguing with, or not arguing, but having a discussion with somebody, and they will say, well, he said he was Abraham Lincoln. And it's like, no, we never said that, man.
He never said that.
Compared himself to Abraham Lincoln, which, stupid.
That's very dumb.
Maybe so, in the fact that Abraham Lincoln was probably still racist, but also did a lot of good things for the black community in that sense, but it was all kind of selfishly motivated. So maybe in that sense, exactly. It's like, yeah, actually, yes.
And that's the thing, man. It's like, okay, going back to context, it's like, I can sit here and say that, Abraham Lincoln did a good thing, but in reality, he didn't care for black people. He said, if I could bring, the Union back, like America back together without freeing slaves, this isn't verbatim. I'm just, but he said, I do it. I would do
Right.
that.
Yeah.
I could do
Yep.
that. I would.
And he wanted
be slaves. I let them be slaves.
man, he wanted black people to go back to Africa. He's like, look, y'all can be free, but can y'all just leave, please? It's like, hey, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like those two things can exist, and like we can understand that, as a people, we should be able to understand that like there was some good that he did. Thank God for Abraham Lincoln. But also, I'm not gonna have a statue of him in my house.
You could, but
I mean, yeah, and you could justify it. I wouldn't say don't have it.
Yeah.
But also, it's like if you know the full story, maybe you wouldn't put it in the front. Maybe you put it in the back.
Just hide it. So for everybody that's still watching, if you're watching, please hit the like button. Hit the like, and subscribe to the Black Boss channel. That's the channel that you're watching the JT Effect on now. It allows us to spread out to so many people, and I appreciate you all for watching. If you want to start your own business, for all my business owners who want to start their own business, go sign up at flynubianbusiness.com. That's Fly Nubian Business. Actually, I'm gonna pop it up. There you go. Fly Nubian Business. That way you know where you can go to. And actually, let me go. We had a few comments. I want to shout out some of these people. Curtis Williams, who said B1 from Little Rock, Arkansas, and I don't know if you know, but B1 means black first, black community. I'm black first before anything else. Before I'm a Democrat, before I'm a Republican, before I'm whatever. A Memphian, Los Angeles, whatever. Black first, then everything else. So I B1 back to you, brother. And Taylor Ja, actually, I'll bring up this question because I think it's a question that he wants to ask you or the both of us. I'm not sure. But he said, do you agree that there is a need for a black independent to keep us from having to choose between what 70-plus-year-old white person can help black people best? So what are your thoughts on
I mean, I'll take it away. I'd say that's an emphatic yes, because when we talk about politics or whatever, I think having, first of all, the two-party system in this country is why we have so much division right now. Why we the solution to that is having a third party or a fourth party, which we actually do. They just don't show it in the media. But I think it would be extremely beneficial for the black community to have a black independent party that is B1 in that sense, where we don't have to choose and where we can kind of pool our resources and pool our votes. So we don't have to always, supplicate to these people like Joe Biden who say, you're not black if you don't vote for, whoever the Democrats throw at you. Like, Democrat throws something at you, you got to vote for it because it's either that or nothing. And like, I feel like that's never the way this country was meant to be set up. And the fact that we are pulled into this every single election cycle, it hurts me as a person who is a free thinker, independent thinker, and somebody that really cares about a candidate that'll do something for the black community. If we had that black independent party, or, just that independent candidate that was not afraid to say that my number one priority is going to be issues that affect the black communities. That's not going to be afraid to say, like, I have an opinion on reparations, whatever that opinion is, instead of wiggling around the conversation. Like, to make some statements and something that we can get behind, that would be extremely powerful for our community. That would give us so much leverage, so much power, because that the Democratic Party and the Republican Party would be either trying to destroy or assimilate that party, because they know that they need these votes one way or the other. So I think it's very important. And, that goes around the whole issue of like us as a people waking up to the idea that the two-party system is not something that is inherent in this country. Like, it is not in the Constitution, there shall be a Republican and a Democrat and nothing else. Like, this country, Alexander Hamilton even said that us as a nation getting too involved in parties would be a fatal disease for the republic. And we see that right now, because there's a lot of people, especially the black community, who just feel like there are no options, or they feel like they've been brainwashed in this sense that a vote for a third party is a wasted vote, or that there's nothing we can do but to vote for these people that don't have our best interests at heart. And, that goes into other issues as well, of like making sure the media addresses third parties and if we had like a strong community, if we had that party, if we had a Black party, which, I mean, with the population and the pull and power that we have as a community, we could easily see that party rise and become something prominent and something that can't be ignored. I think that would be very important. And there's a lot of issues that go around it, but we first have to stop thinking that it's impossible. We first have to stop thinking that a third party is a waste of time, because if you think that way, it always will be. But the one moment that we show them that is not the case, this entire political system changes.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, we have we have way more power than we give ourselves credit for, than the media gives us credit for.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of us are hurting. That much is true. But also, sadly, going back to what I hate to pull what Donald Trump said. I really hate to do this, but what do we have to lose?
Put your hat on.
Oh, put my hat on. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, your MAGA hat.
What do you have to lose? No,
it's true.
Because seriously, because like regardless of whether it's Joe, the Democrats, or whether it's Donald Trump with the Republicans, Black people are going to be in the same situation. I mean, honest. Because it doesn't. We've been gunned down by police under Obama, and they getting slaps on the wrist, and the same thing has happened under Trump. That hasn't changed. I mean, only the more disgusting thing about Trump is that he has been stoking those racist flames. So that's the thing that really. So, but also it's like, well, now we see the people who hate us now, and they're not hiding it. And it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because it's like, on one hand, it's like, yeah, I don't need, that's another microaggression in a sense. But also it's just kind of like, well, hey, I mean, you wearing the MAGA hat, you might be. So, hey, at least I know who to look for, just in case. I know where you stand in a sense, maybe.
Yeah, right.
So, but let me go ahead and again, if everybody's watching, please hit the like button, subscribe to the Black Boss channel. Because this is a great channel where you're going to get more things like this. I'm going to bring more amazing guests like multi-award winning Ellis E. Fowler, and we're going to get into what he has done before we get out of here. But I'm taking up a lot of your time. Let me go ahead and just go ahead and get to my last question for you. What are you planning on voting for this election? Or my last questions. Are you planning on voting in this election?
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely going to vote. I think it's very important that people, at the very least, go to the polls, that you at least exercise your right to vote, not necessarily your obligation, but your right to vote. And because the president is not the only thing being voted on. And that's, I think, what people really need to understand. Because by saying like, I'm totally not going to vote, like that's your right as well. And it's important, if you feel that there's a value in exercising your right in that way, then by all means, because like freedom of speech, it doesn't mean you have to speak. It means you can't. So the freedom to vote doesn't mean you have to vote, but it means you can. And I believe, despite everything wrong with the election system, that there's power in your vote. But like I was saying, also remembering that that the president is not the only thing on the ticket. So just to say, I don't want to vote for either one of these choices and not vote at all. Well, if you do that, at least make sure you still go to the polls and vote. Like, vote for your district attorney, or vote for your senator. Like, vote for your city councilman and your school superintendent. Like in California, we got a bunch of propositions on the ballot. Do your research and then go vote on those topics, because that's your power. And honestly, that's the stuff that's probably going to affect you the most, is that local stuff, the stuff that's happening in your city and in your state. Because if we get bold people in power, like if we get really strong, powerful, I don't want to say activists, but progressive, like, district attorneys and things like that. Because this state is super liberal, and I do not agree with everything that California chooses to do. But I was thinking the other day, I was like, man, Governor Gavin Newsom is a bold man, because not only is, we have the federal government doing all kinds of stuff. The state government in California has done a lot. They're like, oh, we need PPE. We're gonna find a vendor. We're gonna get our own PPE made. I think recently they were talking about doing their own like safety checks on the vaccines when the vaccines come out. It's like that's important. That's very important power that your state can have, and that your local officials can have to at least start making change, because not all change happens from the top. Like, it'd be wonderful to have a progressive, Black empowered president to just say, boom, 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 like, these are my agendas. We're going to make all this stuff happen. But a lot of that stuff happens at the grassroots. And that's something that we have to be very aware of and make sure that we exercise that power in that respect. And then when it comes to the presidential candidates, like, I'm very big on there being more parties than just the two in this country. And it's an uphill climb. And I encourage everybody as well. There's a company called, was a nonprofit. It's called Free and Equal Elections. Look that up. Free and Equal. They host online debates between presidential candidates that you won't see on TV. So the Green Party, the Libertarian Party. I think one of the debates they had 18 candidates. That's a lot. But it's showing us who's really out there running for president, as opposed to like the media circus or the media television show of like, here's your two candidates. It's like, no, man, there's actually, especially with the Green Party, the Libertarian Party, there's like these are parties that have a good amount of power in terms of funding, good amount of power in terms of people behind them. And they just need a push. I think before they were saying like if 10% of the electorate were to vote for either one of these parties, then that party would be obligated to be in the main debates. That's just 10%. It might have even been less than that, but that's if 10% of those people got those votes, then that party will be pulled into the main stage, and that I think is very, very, very important. So if you're thinking about not voting, and they say if you vote for a third party, it's just as good as not voting. So if you're thinking about not voting, maybe think about voting for one of those third parties, if for no other reason, so that gets counted, so that people can start to see and wake up and say that, hey, like, people want other choices. So, I'm technically undecided right now, although it's not that hard. But like we talked about before, like, I have the luxury, because I live in California, of not needing to vote for Joe Biden, because my state's going to be blue. And I don't know if people know how the Electoral College works, but your every single vote does not go towards the president. Like, if the majority of people in your state vote blue, every one of the Electoral College votes are going to go to Biden. If you live in Tennessee and everybody in the majority of your state votes red, all of those electoral votes are going to go to Donald Trump. So in that sense, your vote doesn't matter so much. But where you do have power is if you want to see some alternatives and you want to do something different. Like, I live in a blue state. I'm happy with the fact that my state is going to go to Joe Biden. So guess what? I don't have to vote for Joe Biden. I can vote third party so that my actual vote is seen as going towards a third party, so that eventually, if enough of us are doing this, people are waking up and saying, hey, these things are legitimate. People want to see this, and they'll get on the main stage. So yeah, definitely voting. I think it's very important for you to vote. But think, like I said, that's kind of a, not creative, but it's a different way to start thinking about how to use the power of your vote in a different way, especially in these presidential elections. Because if we always conform to this two-party system, that's all we're going to ever have. And as a Black person, as somebody in the Black community, is never going to go your way. Like, I hate saying it, but we had Barack Obama, we had a black president, and like, I mean, like you said, can you tell me something that just like totally shifted for the black community, other than the fact that like this example, which is amazing, having this black president, little kids can look up and say we had a black president, and he did do things for the black community, but was there like a major shift? Did he ever come out and say strongly like my priorities are this for the black community? Not that I recall. So it's like we've had the best of what we can of the two-party system. We need to start branching out and thinking of how we could use our vote to change the electoral system as a whole.
Yeah, I completely agree. Although I got attacked for saying, hey, maybe we need to start withholding this vote and showcasing our power. You give them the vote goes to Trump. If you don't vote, it goes to Trump. Like, hey man, I didn't say I wasn't gonna vote. I'm just saying make them work for it. I mean, this is gonna be crude. I said this before. If you listen to my earlier podcast, but it's real though, and this is one of the best analogies I can give. If I am a woman, and this, I'll do respect to women that's watching this, but if I'm a woman and this dude wants to get in my drawers, right? And I just like, okay, there you go, and he just gets it. Chances are, and I'm not saying that happens all the time, but chances are, if I'm hitting him up, so hey, you want to come through? Oh no, I'm chilling now. I'm gonna come through later. And he never comes. 2 months go by, and then he finally comes back around. Hey, yeah, what's up? Where you been at? You just ghosted? No, I've been busy. I've been doing stuff. Hey, but what's up? Can I come through Netflix and chill it? He come through. Give him the draws again. Gone.
Right.
Go. He's been gone for like 2-3 months. Shows back up again. Hey, what's up? What's up? Why you acting all brand new on me? Why you doing? Come on, girl. Look, I've been thinking about you.
Hey, that is a good analogy.
Like, man, but if you sit there, you just can't come in here off top. You just can't. You just think you just gonna get the drop. You gotta work for that. Like, dang, he probably be mad. Man, all right, okay, all right. And he'll stick around if he wants to stick around. If he doesn't, he'll move along. But
right,
increase your chances of getting somebody that's gonna work for it. If you just giving it away, like we're giving our votes away, don't give the draws away. Not that easy. You're not gonna get that.
Right.
Make them work
just
for
because
it.
they asked for it. Like, well, okay, I guess.
Well, he asked for it.
He asked for it. This other guy asked for it, and this one's a little better, so I guess he gets the vote.
I mean,
yeah. I mean, there's power in that. Like, if withholding is the way to do it, like, that's an option too. Anything to make them wake up and see. Because if they saw that, oh man, like a huge portion of the black community did not participate in this vote, or if they saw, from my perspective, even better, like Taylor was saying, like, wow, a huge portion of this black community just voted for this independent black candidate. Like, we have to do something. We have to change. And it would wake people. It would wake this system up. It would. But like, we got to kind of have the organization and the courage to do that. But it's always fear mongering at these times, like, oh, if you don't vote for Biden, you're voting for Trump. It's like, that's not necessarily true. And that's a state by state basis, like based off of electoral college and population and things like that. Sometimes in a battleground state, it is that important. If you want to see the change, that you vote a certain way, or that you get out and vote. But a lot of times there's a lot we could do with our votes. There's a lot of power we have with using our votes differently, withholding our votes. So
yeah, I just feel like it's a lot that we, especially after this election, there needs to be an accountability. Yeah, that comes, like the roosters are coming home to crow, or whatever that saying is.
Wait,
I said it right.
The roosters coming on there.
they crow at times.
Coming to, yeah.
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 They do what birds do. But no. But it's like, no, because okay, you're in office, but we need to not these people to say, oh, we'll hold him accountable after he gets in office. No, because chances are you're gonna disappear. You're just gonna be happy that we came back to some sense of normalcy, and
Right.
your blinders are up again. This stuff has nothing to do with me. You know, oh, hey, at least we got Biden. Trump is out. Whew, now back to no.
Right.
We need to attack him on defunding the police or something close to it, because
Actual reform.
Like, we got you in office, you're welcome. Now you got to pay up.
Now get to work. Yeah, this is what this is. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like applying for a job and then saying I ain't gonna do none of that. I don't want to do none of that. It was in the job description. Yeah, I know I really played that up, didn't I? I really played up how I could do this for the company. But I don't feel like I don't really like computers. I know I applied for the IT job,
Right.
and I think I would revamp the whole system, but I don't.
Yeah, I'm gonna do this stuff. I'm gonna do this stuff, but I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't like none of this. What's that? New internet? Nah, we ain't doing none of that. We status quo. Status quo. Yeah.
And then I guess one last thing I just want to say for all the people who are talking about, well, what did Trump do, and at least Biden can do some stuff. True, but as much as we say, when we say Barack Obama was in office, and it's like, well, he had the Republicans, they were against him. He can barely get anything passed and push and all this stuff. True, I'll give you that, but also not true. It's like it's true-ish. Right. And the reason why I say that is because, let's just be real. And, as much as I love Barack Obama, his personality, he's a very personable guy, seems very humble and all of this stuff. He's a great guy. But he should still be critiqued. Even our heroes, in a sense, should still be critiqued. And even with me, I'm not perfect. So, please critique me when I'm wrong, because I can't grow. And I can't be held accountable if I'm not being critiqued. So I'm saying that because even they're saying, oh, he couldn't really do anything because Republicans and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, he had a hard time. But guess what? He also was able to push a lot of LGBT issues and pass a lot of laws for them. He passed a lot of laws for them. I think same-sex marriage was passed underneath. And they were happy about the Obama. Yes, Obama administration. Yeah, they came through, and that's great. That's amazing. What about black people? Oh, and let's not forget, as hard as the time he did have with Medicare for all, seemed like it wasn't going to come through.
Obamacare, yeah.
Obamacare. Yeah, sorry,
Obamacare. Yeah, that's what got me. I've never, my life in terms of paying really close attention to politics. Hasn't been that long, I guess, but I have never seen a president campaign so strongly for an issue as he did for Obamacare, which I think was amazing. That's awesome that you did that. But if you could do that for that means you could do that for black issues and other things that relate to this community. Because he fought for that. And it almost didn't happen. He fought for that. I was looking at the news and just seeing Obama's speaking here. Obama's speaking here. He's here promoting Obamacare. And I'm like, man, he went to war for Obamacare. And it's like, if you can do that for that, then you can do that for us at the same time.
Yeah, because I think I remember it's a documentary that I think it's on PBS that Frank W. Johnson, he was a guest on here before. Oh, it's on Frontline. It's called Obama's Deal. Let me see. Try to see if I can get that link up so that you guys can see. But that's something very important for everybody to watch. It's called Obama's Deal, and you will see in this documentary. It's a really good. I'm not crazy about watching documentaries, but this documentary, I was just like, wow, Frank was hitting it right on the head that, it was really important and we need to know more about this, especially how hard he fought for this. So you can go to pbs.org or you can just go to Google and type in Obama's Deal. That's the name of it right there, Obama's Deal. And you're able to watch it, and let me see, I think you can even listen to the audio version of it. But, there's a video that you can watch with this. And it'll tell you how hard, there it is, watch the program now. It'll show you how hard this man went to fight for Medicare for all. I'm not saying that he shouldn't have fought for it. I mean, just like Ellis was saying, I mean, no, it's a good thing. I'm glad that you were able to do that. But since you were able to do that, you also should be able to fight somewhat just as hard for Black issues. Like, really, I mean, because he fought tooth and nail. There was a lot of Republicans pushing back against it. Like, no, even some Democrats.
Yeah.
No.
Because I thought that wasn't going to happen. I was like, you might want to just drop that, Obama, but he got it done.
Yeah.
But yeah. And so, like Trump was saying, man, 8 years, it's not even like it was a one-term thing, 2 full, complete terms. To not see the fight even. Like, if you fight and you lose, hey, that's super commendable. But to not get in the ring, it's like, well, man, you must not have wanted it that bad.
Yeah. So. I mean, and that's just being real. And like I said, I think as a person, Barack Obama is really great. But as like I said, even our heroes, you have to critique them, because it's like, hey, you didn't do everything that you could have and should have done. You've done some great things, but this is where you fell short, and this is why we're still hurting. I think there's data and there's charts that are showing us our wealth. We're still.
Man, I saw that chart. Yeah, man.
Yeah, and even immigrants who are coming in after us, I think after one generation, they have more wealth than we do.
Yeah.
At the Black community as a whole, immigrants from Asia, immigrants from Europe, immigrants from, it doesn't matter where, they are leaping over us, and it's not being addressed. It's an economic issue that's not being addressed. And all this, we're going to give you jobs and stuff. No, we need money into our businesses. We need a complete overhaul of our education, because you have a lot of Black kids out here that don't even know how great we are, how great some of the people who have, I mean, yeah, we have that one month for Black history, but we don't know that there is a Black, the wealthiest person in the entire world, and I found this out by accident, Mansa Musa, an African king in Mali. Wealthiest person in the world. And they talking about Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. They can't touch Mansa Musa's wealth. Can't touch it. But a lot of us don't know about it. You should look that up too. Mansa Musa, MANSA MUSA. And it's a lot. It's a lot that we don't know about. The wealthiest person in the world. I think he went through Egypt. I forgot, he went through somewhere and was giving out. He had so much money, he was just handing out.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Just completely offset the economy. The economy.
Yeah, he ruined their economy. He ruined their economy.
You talking about balling?
Just giving out gold, man.
Hey, man, Ellis, man, where can everybody reach you? How can they find you?
Yeah, social media at the Ellis Fowler. That's THE. Boom, right there at the Ellis Fowler. Also have a website, ellisfowler.com. You can see all of my upcoming projects, things that I've done in the past, blog posts, see what's on my mind, sign up for my newsletter, things like that. Just out here really trying to bring representation to our community, especially through the creative arts, through filmmaking, through writing and things like that. Just trying to change it for the generation. We're living in a unique time, which is amazing, where we're seeing a lot more representation, especially in all kinds of genres like sci-fi, where we were not being seen, and that is exploding right now. And I'm really trying to be a front runner.
There it is.
There we go. See #anniversary, my short that's in the festival circuit right now. Just out here really trying to help push us and push creativity and show the next generation that you can do whatever you want. You can think how you want to think, and you're not limited by this is what Black is. That is what Black is in terms of like, this is how you have to think or you have to be. Like you can be an independent thinker. You can be Black and not be a Democrat. or whatever else it is, you know.
Yeah, we have more power than a lot of people giving us credit for. So
Yeah.
before we close out, I see that you've written books too. So your
Yeah.
filmmaker, is that, did you write that book, or are you just putting up other people's books and you slap your name on it?
You know what? I just like to plagiarize. No, just kidding. Yeah. I got 3 books out. I got 2 fiction books, The
Okay.
Dead Man Chronicles. So if you are into that's the second one right there.
Okay.
If you're into sci-fi at all, if you're into superheroes, The Dead Man Chronicles is well reviewed on Amazon. 4.8, I believe, the first book has.
Oh, nice.
4.5, I think the second book has. So if you go to Amazon, type in The Dead Man Chronicles. I haven't promoted it in a while on Amazon, so they want to drop my listing a little bit. But go to my website and click on the books from there. You can catch it. I also wrote a book, a nonfiction book called Realize Your Resolutions. That's that one right there. And that's just about goal setting and about tackling your goals, kind of systematically approaching it. I look at it from the perspective of New Year's resolutions, which I find to be very helpful in my life. But you can look at the book is, look at it any time if you really kind of want to zero in and focus and create a strategy for tackling your creative goals, your fitness goals, anything in life that you wanna attack.
Okay, man, you're all over the place.
Yeah, man, I'm just the creator. That's what I look at myself as. I know it's kind of crazy because people always want to put you in a box, and it's always hard to describe yourself. When somebody asks, what exactly do you do? I'm like, well, how much time you got? But I think, man, God has given us infinite potential, and whatever we want to tap into, we could do it. We could do it at a high level. And the idea that you have to focus on one thing is a myth.
Man, you know what? That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
That's a whole show.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. I would love to be brought back on to talk about that. Yeah, for sure, man.
That way we can talk about your book, man, because I think especially New Year's is coming up, so I mean that works.
Oh yes, for sure.
Realize your resolutions. Go and get that book. Support a Black business, a Black author, Black writer. I'm pretty sure he would be get his rating up. Go and buy his book and leave a beautiful rating.
So, yeah, that would be super helpful right there.
He had pages. Wow, look at that. Look at it.
words on pages. It makes sense when you read them as a sentence.
glowing reviews. Just review this book. Go to his website, ellisfowler.com. You can see everything. Actually, we're in a film together at Motor Car. You can see that too.
Yes.
He's just an award-winning director, writer, actor. I think he won some recent awards as an actor. He's just all across the board, and actually, I would say that you're just a man of many hats. A modern day Renaissance man.
Renaissance man. Yeah, that's how I like to describe myself and think of myself. Like, just jack of all trades. I gotta be in everything. I got a lot in me.
It seems like you're succeeding very well. Like a lot of reviews, a lot of ratings, and I just wish you the best. Everybody, if you're watching again, just make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this video. It needs to be seen from what we were talking about. A lot of people need to see this, but also because I talk about supporting Black businesses, go support this man. Go support, because that extra money that can help him with his films and either shine a light. Maybe he wants to make another documentary. I don't know. He'll shine a light on the things that we're going through, or showcase something about us if he feels so moved to. Or I'm pretty sure he'll tell a story that showcases Black people in new and different lights that we don't see ourselves in. So and he has really amazing stuff. I've known him for a long time. He's a visionary. He sees the forest instead of seeing the trees. When everybody else is looking at the trees, he's looking at the forest. I like to think birds of a feather flock together. I like to think I do the same.
Enough. Yep.
We'll see.
Definitely. kindred spirits in that respect, for sure.
Right.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. Anytime. Again, I'll post up where you guys can follow him on his social media. And again, thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate it. If you want to watch this again, you can hit, watch later for the YouTube video, or if you want to just subscribe to my podcast, it is DJT Effect. DJT Effect. Actually, I'll put up, boom. That's where you can find me. This show, because it's there. If you listen to it on a podcast, so you just let it run and it'll accumulate money for me. So that helps. So you don't even have to listen to it.
Just push play.
Yeah, just push play.
No. Yeah, just let it run. Tune in and out, get a little insight, and help a brother out.
we need all the help we can get. But man, Ellis, thank you, dude, for taking the time. I know I took up more time than I meant to, but you were saying some really in-depth stuff, and I felt like the audience needed to hear this, and people needed to hear this, even though it's very close to the election, a few days away. But it's something for people to challenge people. We have to, people aren't challenged enough, and we are too easy on ourselves a lot. We want to take the easy road and the easy route. Let's challenge ourselves more. So that's why I brought you on here, to help people feel challenged. So thank you for taking your time.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
And thank you all for tuning in. Let me know if you want them back. I'll bring them back. And this is the end of the show. Make sure you like, share it, subscribe to the Black Boss channel. That's the new name. I was about to say Fly Nubian King, the Black Boss channel. I love y'all, and we'll see you later. Peace.
All right. Take it easy.